Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way, 7 days a week on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. Somewhere out there, it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, and still time to call your friends. We'll be right back.
The missing dimension in world politics is the spiritual dimension. The problems of life cannot be solved by material means. Modern civilization is missing the point of life. Human life is meant for understanding spiritual values. Real knowledge is knowing yourself, what you are, what God is, and understanding your relationship and duty to God. It is our duty to understand God, abide by His laws, and learn to love Him. Then all of our problems will be solved. When men are not governed by God, they will be ruled by tyrants. The material world is just like a prison. The spirit soul is imprisoned in a material body which is imprisoned in the material world. We do not belong in this material world. We are spirit souls and belong to the spiritual world. Modern civilization is wrongly directed to the fulfillment of sense gratification, the basis of material life and a barrier to spiritual realization. The demonic believe that the enjoyment of the senses is the ultimate goal of life. However, it is not possible to become peaceful and happy in the attempt to gratify the temporary senses. The result is usually the opposite. A materialistic culture based on sense gratification agitates the mind and senses. Unless one controls the mind and senses, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. The great sages of all bona fide religions were completely free of material attachments because they knew that spirit is permanent while matter is temporary. Our present culture would have us debase ourselves and become more and more entangled in materialism so that the path to the spiritual world is blocked. The demonic wish to make this planet a closed system where it cannot function for the purpose it was intended. The material world was created to give man the opportunity to purify himself of his material consciousness, for the aim of life is to go back home, back to God. The demonic cannot go back home until they rid themselves of their demonic mentality, and so they wish to make it impossible for anyone else to return home. This is the ultimate goal of psychological warfare: to entangle man in materialism so that he cannot return home, back to the Supreme Lord. Mind control in America. Break it.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Forbidden History Live, the series on Ask Dezert-Owl and the Original Thought Transliteration Project. I am your host and presenter, Dezert-Owl, and good to have you. I know we're starting at an earlier time today, so most of the people here in the U.S. are asleep, other than the East Coast probably. So we are trying to accommodate Ninja's situation, which is a different time window, and if we did it at 9, it'd be 1 a.m. where she is. So we're trying to help her out and do a little earlier broadcast, so maybe people will get used to that. Means I just got 1 hour less to prepare, but that's okay. I've been good to go all my life, and just need a place to vent, to get out the important things that a lot of them, many other people are not even talking about or touching, which is relevant to who we are, where we are, why we are, and when we are. So welcome, and I hope you're telling your friends about the broadcast. We are posting now on 2 channels on Odyssey, and we'll begin doing perhaps this week. That's our goal around Wednesday, to be on Forbidden History Live on Odyssey. So the links are in the channel. Information is at the on the content page here on this channel. Go look at the content page, and then you'll see where you can link over and subscribe. I'm going to do a quick review and show you what we got there, and then show you what we posted on our rare book store as well. But Dane Wigington, he's on every Saturday, so we just had another broadcast by Dane Wigington on geoengineering watch, and it's real tragic to see our world going down, and most people are unaware of the real nature of what's happening. That their world has been decimated by a bunch of psychopathic billionaires that think they're special and you're not, and that they're somehow going to be able to survive underground and be that's their idea of the new age. The new age is the new world, that after they destroyed the other world. But the truth is that this time, unlike other major cataclysms that brought us into cooling events, like when an asteroid hit the Earth, it's a cooling event, so the Earth can more easily recover from a cooling event. But now, because of the methane gas that's going up into the atmosphere, there's like 10,000 lakes in Alaska that are bubbling methane, and there's also off the Scandinavian coast, the ocean bottom is bubbling methane. The methane is going to create a glass that can't filter out the heat. It's going to be like a greenhouse, and so once this occurs, ultimately, as Dane puts it, it'll be like a Venus syndrome, and the Earth will be a couple hundred degrees. So literally, that may not be a recoverable event, at least not in 20 million years, maybe. So that's our dilemma. And so heaven help us, And I want to do a quick review. Then we have on what I posted. I got some important videos that I've posted over the last 10 days or so that are relevant to what's happening in the Mideast and ultimately around the world, because it's the beginning of something bigger, and that's how they play it, Uh, and then after I do that review of what we've been posting, broadcasting in different ways in books and in the videos, I'll go over in a second here. We have a Q&A recording by Thea, about 10 minutes. We're going to do that. She wanted to talk about an important issue. Actually, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was at the moment, but we'll find out. And we are doing a read of the Kolbrin. That's the main feature today. I'm going to be short on everything else. I have about 4 words that I'm going to review real quick because they're relevant. One of them is Israel. I'm going to show you that Israel is a code word for Ishtar, and the same with Bolshevism. Bolshevism is Bull Shiva Eshan, so it's Shivaism. The volumes of Shivaism, and so that's what is. I'll be defining on the Word document. We'll do a screen share, and then we'll show you. Okay, so you can see and read it for yourself, and it makes sense, because as I've pointed out that the people calling themselves Israel today are not Israel. Israel was disbanded in 724 BC. So there's never been an Israel since then. In other words, Yeshua said, I'm done with you. It's over. Nada, no more. And what part of that don't people get, right? And they think some bully can come along and just say, well, I'm Israel. What are you going to do about it? And so they're not Israel. They never were. No relation at all. And so we'll touch on some of that, and and the Kolbrin. So, and if you want to call in, okay, any time during the broadcast, if you want to call in, just come on down or put it in the chat that you'd like to call with a big red question mark, or maybe 3 red question marks. That really helps. And question in capital letters. Or if you have a comment, same thing. You're welcome to call in if you have a comment. And and so then we'll shift gears, and then we can get back to the read. I'm going to try to finish that read today. It's about the true nature of our sovereign, which the Great Father and His Son Yeshua, the Mashiach. Okay, that is really a profound read, and it rolls right into the. We're on chapter 15 in that, and we started it 2 programs ago on program 141, and we didn't get back to the reading on 142, and so this is part 2 of the read on this series. Okay, so just so you're aware of that, and thank you, Ninja, for the example there. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to pull up the screen share now, and then we'll on Skype. Let me see how we can do this. If I can, here we go. Screen share. Sharing screen now. Okay, and let me go to the Odyssey. If you've not been to Odyssey yet, ladies and gentlemen, it took me about 1.5 years to assess all the different venues, from Rumble to BRIGHTEON to a couple other ones, and we looked at them. We were going to go, to Rumble, but then, they were promoting things that were not very salient to good living, and the arrangement just wasn't quite right. Then ultimately fell on Odyssey, and because all the other really good ones were here as well, like Deborah Travaris and Max Egan and others were here that been following a long time, and so it turned out that this was really the better venue, and they got better features for uploading and things like that are really, really good. So we're really pleased with that. And I assume this. I can't see my screen now for the program. Let me see if we're flip over there real quick. Okay, I see we're up there. I'm going to blow up those icons a little bit. I just wanted to see you to see the three front lines. This is what I've built over the last no, double what do you call it? Multitasking here. And so this is what I put up. So let me blow up the pictures, and I'll tell you the significance of these three lines of programs here that we've downloaded, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see what we got here. Okay, that's let me go one more maybe, huh? For the people out there. All right, that's better. Okay, so now I broke it down into probably about 6 lines. And so we'll scroll down here. So the last one in, A Pure Evil, Genocide by Max Egan. He's really the best journalist on what's going on in Gaza because he's telling the truth. And there's a couple others that may be doing it, but Max has the forefront with this issue because he's got friends in Gaza as well. And the pictures in here, you've got to watch the entire 1 hour presentation, ladies and gentlemen. The decimation, the breaking of the bodies of these babies, thousands of babies. When I say babies, I mean from the range of, 1-year-old to 15 years old, 17. And that's half the population. Half the population is that around that age group, and I don't think they live past about 35 over there with what is pseudo Israel, the Syrian army. Let's call them what they are. The Syrian army from ancient time have been doing to these people. And one of my points is that the banking army was the German army, and if you can't see that the behavior of pseudo Israel is identical to what the SS stormtroopers behavior was like, put 2 and 2 together, all right, because they were the banking army, and Israel, pseudo Israel, is the banking army today as well. Okay, it's the greatest show on earth. They've always controlled both sides. Okay, so with that principle, they control both sides. Enough is said. Get the picture. Okay, so then we've got Why the Mideast Bleeds, and again more graphics. Actually, you're going to see them putting people in a ditch and then finishing them off. Okay, let me put it that way. I don't want to use the wrong words here, but it's for adult audiences. In other words, don't let your little ones see this. Okay, and then I've got my books, a little preview of the books here as well that are on Lulu and on Amazon. Then this next lineup right here, 3 videos back to back, are a must see, ladies and gentlemen. These are a must see because and I put them in order. Number 1 is on the right and it's called Tortured for Christ, and this is a true story that goes into Romania. It started with the Nazi occupation, then the Nazis ran when the Soviet came. Their brothers, Soviet Union came in because they're all banking. They're all controlled by Jewish banking. That's the thing. So there is no enemy. It's all an illusion. And so Torture for Christ. This pastor convert to Christianity, former Jew, actually, and it just shows that all Jews are not bad. And this story is so horrific, ladies and gentlemen. You will watch it and realize you couldn't do what he did. That's how it feels. And not to say that we can't do it or won't do it when we come to our test, but it was really hard to watch. And but it's a good story. It's a really powerful story. It's a story that will give you a hope for what's about to happen on planet Earth, because we're all going down, basically, and it'll be in a variety of different ways. They have a whole mixed bag of tricks that they're going to pull on our planet, from the phony UFO invasion to the Gulag. They got more Gulags ready to go. We've known about them since last century. Then the next part of this, after the movie, is the documentary, An Underground Pastor and His Wife. And this fills in the gap on what you didn't see in the movie Tortured for Christ. And then the last that came presenting their story is the movie called Sabina, and so it takes you back to when it all started, and it started with the Nazi occupation, and at the end of the movie, ladies and gentlemen, will be the most unbelievable um, scenario in this story. And so the best is last in all of this trouble. Hard stuff to watch is the most unreal victory of light. Test of faith that you have ever will ever witness in a movie. I can guarantee you, and it will hopefully change your attitude. Meaning, your concerns about not being able to tough it out or to forgive, and these type of things, no matter what somebody does to you. This is the best example. You'll never be more inspired watching anything. And there's so much garbage out there. Watch something that is of high value, and that can help lead you on into the day without end, the day that never ends. Okay, and then we have I'm using Ted Pike's theme here, which is Why the Mideast Bleeds. His video is further down, but again, one more like the other one up here, Why the Mideast Bleeds, um, which is let me try to remember what was in that. Can't remember at this time. Oh yeah. This was the first one showing again the decimation of little boys and girls, and of course the adults as well. And then Max Egan is giving a little commentary on here. It's only 6 minutes, but it's again carrying that theme, Why the Mideast Bleeds. And then I have some historical content to fill in gaps, like right here, warning: don't mention the Khazars, because the word Jew is a made-up term. It didn't exist before the 1700s. So what's it doing in our scriptures when there never was a Jew back in ancient time? Never was, but there were Assyrians, and there was a true state of Israel, which had nothing to do with the Assyrians. They took over. Can't get the picture. The Assyrians took over. They banished the 10 tribes. And then when they come back from Babylon, it's Babylonians following the Babylonian Talmud. So Israel was gone at the time of Jeremiah, and there never has been one again. It was a pseudo-Israel back then when Yeshua came on the scene. But both of these are profound bits of information that somebody pulled together. So I highly recommend it. And then here, okay, that's just an ad that we're moving to Odyssey bit by bit. And but we're still here on YouTube at the moment. And the Armenian and Syrian genocide, we got 2 videos on that. We got one down here. You see the crosses. They're nailing all these women to crosses. This is in the area of Turkey. And it was the Ashkenazis. They were the who call themselves Jews today. These tortures, these Christian slaves. Both of these videos show you that it was the Ashkenazis who called themselves Jews today. But back then they pretended to be Muslim, and they were called the Young Turks. And interestingly enough, the first mafia, Jewish mafia in America in the late 1800s, were also called the Young Turks. And in World War I, it was the Turks working with Germany, go figure, banking agents, 1 million Jews in the German army in World War I, 1 million Jews in the German army. So put 2 and 2 together, as I was saying earlier, ladies and gentlemen, that it's the greatest show on earth. And they always play themselves as the victim. So they're the oppressor, and they're I'm just a victim. I'm misunderstood. But no, the truth is that they will kill their own. They will kill their own. Okay, to sacrifice, just like they did when the so-called Hamas, right? They crossed over. Somehow all of a sudden Israel vacates the fences right along a certain strip of Gaza, and so they arrange it with their buddies because they created Hamas, pseudo-Israel created Hamas, and then they let them plow through the gates and then come into the nearest village and to then to try to capture people and shoot a few. But then what does Israel pseudo-Israel do? They take their weaponry, their heavy armaments of tanks and helicopters, and they blow up the entire town. They kill everyone. And so it wasn't the pseudo-Hamas that did that. It was pseudo-Israel doing it to supposedly their own people. Okay, that's who. So in other words, you have to have an action a cause for what they are doing right now in Gaza. And so the cause for the action is that the entire community was murdered, but it wasn't murdered by Hamas. They just were in there capturing people and and hanging out. I guess it's hard to know exactly, but other is people who you call themselves Israelis came out, men and women, former military, and they all said that the fence should never have been vacated. That is showing that something was going on that was not kosher, like that word, and that fine, and that another one came and showed, how they presented how they killed all their own people, because they'll do that. That's the way they do it. Always a false flag to justify the next move, like they do with Poland, just like they did with Poland. They say they were attacked by Poland, but it was a false flag created by the Germans, and so then they go and take over Poland. That's how they do it. Same with 9/11, right? They take down the 3,000 people more than they did at Pearl Harbor, because Pearl Harbor was another false flag. They knew that Japan was going to attack. In fact, they're all brothers, all secret society brotherhood, working against the people, maintaining control by confusion and deception, And then here's the where the title "Why the Mideast Bleed" comes from. Ted and Alin Pike, friends who I used to interview on my program, and these people are just fantastic, at the tip of the needle, just like Deborah Tavares, just like Dane Wigington. He was exposing the hate crime bills at the time. Noble people, and so this is a 1 hour and 19-minute presentation, but it has to be watched. And then the other one by Ted and Alin Pike. They've done several, but I've got 3 of them up here. The other one is above. Um, and the other Israel by Ted and Alin Pike as well. Here's his other one, Unholy Alliance, Zionism and Christianity, just exposing the fraud, of this so-called Judeo Christianity, Judeo. I like to call it Judeo Christianity. Such a false idea that you can, merge with. Well, they want you kissing up. What it is, they want you kissing up to Israel. Pray for Israel. This is the best. If you can't see it now, like when you watch the 700 Club. If you can't see, that's an Illuminati front. I gave the code to, the code meaning to the words of the 700 Club and their symbolism. With 700 Club, that's 007 backwards. Club is bull. Oh, that's the papal bull, but it's the so they're always saying, "Oh, pray for Israel, pray for Israel." Those poor victims. With the most powerful military state on the planet, with the greatest terrorist organization of Israeli Mossad ever seen, involved in the action of taking down the Twin Towers, and it's all an open secret. The information is available. And then finally, we have the Mystery of Israel Solved, which is by David Sorensen, an outstanding researcher up in the Netherlands. And so these videos have to be watched. It's the most watched we have on the whole gamut, 82, and then so we've got what's the total number there? And I just want to point out that also my 9/11 presentation, that'll be popped up in the front line in a few days. I've got to get Bonhoeffer up there. I've got 4 videos by Bonhoeffer, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who tried to take down Hitler with his cohorts in Germany in World War II. And so his story is a great inspiration, and he needs to be remembered. I think many people have not heard of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. So I'm going to put that up to go back to back with the pastor and his wife. I can't remember their Warburg. I think it's Warburg, Wormbrand, Richard and Sabina Wormbrand, and unbelievable people, and they live the true walk. So this presentation here also has in it, this 9/11 presentation. I have my quote there. They don't care what the answers are as long as you are asking the wrong questions. And so and that's it, ladies and gentlemen, because they got us asking the wrong questions. We actually think governments are legitimate when it is a one world order. There is no new world order. It's an old world order from the beginning of recorded history, from the moment soon after the Aryan race came on the scene, the last carnation of the sovereign, great father, and Yeshua, bringing Adam on the planet with the knowledge of true enlightenment, how everything in the universe operates. And that's what gave us the great monuments of ancient time. And then also the modern civilizations with the iPhones and the computers and all that. Without that legacy that came through Adam, the knowledge of superior knowledge from the other races. Not to say that Aryans are special, because they decided instead to enslave mankind with that knowledge. You see, and that's what's going on. That's why we have perpetual war by these Assyrian so-called Jews today. So we're in a real fix on our planet, but Father willing, we'll get through it, ladies and gentlemen. I've really been ill with lower abdominal pains the last few days, and I'm feeling it right now. So I was going to continue a little more, but I want to take a break. We have a recording I did off air with Thea. She comes on every now and then and makes a call, and so we did one private, because sometimes she calls and asks me questions, and we thought, oh gee, do we record this? And no, so we made a policy: if she calls me to ask questions about certain topics, then we'll record them, and that will help everybody else out as well, because everybody else wants to know some of these important issues about who we are, where we are, why we are, and when we are, ladies and gentlemen. So Ninja, you can switch out the graphic, and then we'll take it to the audio. Okay, so glad you tuned in. Hope you are telling your friends. I know we started early, so we lost half of our audience and for the live broadcast, but anyway, everybody can hear the recording. Okay, so I'm going to just take a quick 10-minute break, and we'll listen to the interview with Thea. Okay, so glad you're tuned in, and it's still time to call your friends. We'll be right back with more. Got Thea with me today with some questions, and so we're gonna go down that road. And so Thea, you're on.
Okay, so we know that in the scriptures it talks about being born again. And I've heard you say that you say, instead of born again, you say second born.
Right.
Why do you say second born instead of born again?
Right, and I never heard anybody iterate this, but just like they've changed many of the words and things within our scriptures, I basically discovered it through the lost writings. That was part of it. Well, whether the term is being used anywhere, I can't remember, but I know that it was clear to me based on when you read the stories. Okay, so starting with Abraham, the sovereign, he had a son, and his name is Ishmael. He had through the slave, was that Ishmael through the slave, right? That was Ishmael.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then which I say is correctly Esau Mazul. But he had the title of Esau. And then his, so then Abraham was going to receive a son of promise. He said, Ishmael will not be your heir, and that you will have another son, and that's Isaac, right? That's Ashiach, Isaac, and Ashiach. He's got the very title of Mashiach in his name. So he's Asha, he's a royal eye, and he's got the Yak, meaning that he can pull the things that need to be pulled out of the self or out of the earth or whatever. The pull, Yak means to pull, and so right there, the first instance of this growing family, we have two. We have a firstborn and a secondborn, but the firstborn, born of a slave, was rejected. And then it was the same thing with Esau, who was Esau.
So, anyway, Aisha, I think I'm getting, doing it off the top of my head. Sometimes I got to look at it on paper because, it's so much to remember to keep in the transitional thought. But anyway, he may be Aisha Mazul. I said it wrong with Ishmael. No, I didn't. I said it right with Ishmael. I'm trying to remember now. Esau. Aisha Awe. I think let's just say it that way. Aisha Awe. Anything that I'm presenting in the Indo-Germanic is far superior and closer to the original than anything we've been spoon-fed, which is all wrong. And then we'll call him Esau. Esau, then he's only the firstborn because he came out of the womb first. They were both born at the same time, but Esau just got out first. And so Jacob, correctly Yaakov, he's got the royal title. He's called the seed of light. How did that happen? Right? How did that happen? So, so they're in a struggle. But ultimately, the firstborn, he sold his birthright, and then he lost the blessing on top of that through a deception. But that's what represents this world, because this world is a deception that wants to rob us of our birthright. And so there again, Jacob, Yaakov, the seed of light, is the second born.
Okay.
And we can keep going because it's
right.
said over and over in other stories as well.
Right. So
hold on. And the very reason Yeshua had to go through the water, he said we have to do this thing to fulfill all of the perfection in light, because Yaakov and John didn't want to baptize him, right?
Right.
Yeah, but he had to fulfill
right
the picture. In other words, what I have to do, everybody else has to do. What everybody else has to do, I have to do.
Right, but just because you go through the water doesn't mean you get born again or second.
No.
So, okay.
That's when we enter into the covenant relationship, and our paradigm has shifted, because prior to that, technically, the world is in darkness and has no relationship with the Great Spirit. When you move through the waters of purification, through the mother, now going to the Father, and tried by fire. You will be tried by fire through the water, then through the fire to go back to the light. And so
wait, tried by the water and then through the fires. What do you mean?
We are tried by fire. We are tested.
Right, but we're tried by fire before we ever get to being tried, before we go through the water.
Well, life is testing us, but this is a different trial, because we're going to be trying. Remember, we're like the virgins who have their lamps, and 5 of them had oil, and 5 of them did not. The 5 that had the oil is truth. And so when the bridegroom came, he only wanted those who had the truth, and so they entered in. So prior to that, they were virgins. Prior to the marriage, they were virgins because they had prepared themselves with their lamps, had truth in it, had their body is the lamp, going to be lit on fire, and so there's a trial, a testing that will happen, within our life could have been testing us prior to going into immersion. I'm just saying that the trial by fire is part of the metaphorical journey that we go on.
Right, but then we get to truth knowing in our minds, heart, and we choose to, quote, be baptized, go through the water. And so what I'm saying is I've seen a lot of people go through the water and they certainly don't come out a different person.
Right. There's supposed to be a cause and effect. Right.
So that's why I said just because you go through the water doesn't mean you get to be second born.
Well, that's correct. That's in other words, somebody could, like, see Yeshua receive the Spirit immediately, and so he had the marriage right there. The light focused upon him, and and said, "This is my only loved seed. Hear him." His only loved seed. So we have to be in Yeshua, and so we enter him by like metaphysically going back 2,000 years. We are buried with him, and so that's the burial in the water. And so we metaphorically come out of the water at the moment the marriage occurs, and we receive the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit. And so the reason that many of us have to go on the wilderness journey is because the lies are so prevalent and so great that then we have to learn the truth and then become firm in that and with, on a rock, a foundation of absolute knowing and knowing the scam that has been played on us and the tricks. And then at that point, once we're on sure foundation, then we can receive the great breath, because when we're not ready, if we're still taking our soul novation haphazardly or, not perfectly, then we're subject to failure. And so therefore we have to learn the discipline in the walk and feel the pain of being stupid and making mistakes and not being dedicated enough, and then or being alone, like I was in my journey, because I was not going to participate with a Sunday afternoon religion. I hit the books. Ended up with 2,000 books on the shelf by age 30.
So it seems like, I'll use myself as an example. I don't feel I'm changed into the person I wish to be. So I'm getting kind of old, running out of time to feel like I've become that.
Well, you're doing it though, you see, because you're joining with me in this interaction, participating. You're not sitting in the sideline. You're engaged and involved, and have even supported this work, helped me in my own struggle health wise with your background, and therefore Yeshua brings people together for his purpose. After we talked the other day on the kind of like on this issue, I remembered the story about when Yaakov, the seed of light, had to flee his home because he stole the blessing from his brother, and so he goes to Laban's land, and when he gets to the well, everything always seems to happen by a well, and when he gets there, then there's a couple shepherds there, waiting to water their flock, and he says, how come you're not watering your flock? They said, well, it takes 3 of us to move the stone. And but Yaakov had so much gratitude perhaps in him that for his safety, and where he finally ended up right there at the home of his other family, that he rolls the stone off the top of the well by himself. But the point of the fact, when the other 2 said, no, it takes 3 to roll the stone, mm-hmm. that very often the Father has to, in other words, if we're all by ourselves and isolated, like you just acknowledged about your own life, you felt, somehow inadequate, which is the way I often feel. And therefore, and I said that the Father would not just give the Spirit to somebody if then we're not ready, because then it's possibly, as we see in Hebrews, could be thwarted and lost because of our ignorance or stupidity. So it's not just a foundation of knowledge, but it's also the support network of more than one mind coming together, the mastermind group, you could say, which is a term I've used for a long time. And so the point where they said it takes 3 to roll a stone away, that the Father sometimes will wait until there is that small group of 2 or 3 or 4, and then they're solid, because they're all supporting each other, mentally, physically, or however in this journey, interacting, that creates the positive energy. So there's a force behind more than one, and that's part of the problem of being isolated and alone in a sea of lies, when you got the truth and there's nobody else around to talk to.
Right.
So it's very complex, and it's not so easy. But the thing is, having the Spirit is an experience that you will not forget, because it's evidenced, as it says, by the speaking in an unknown form, and therefore that's the evidence, called the evidence of that which is now in you. So I'm certain that there's got to be a dramatic feeling inside that occurs as well. You can feel, and then the quickness of interaction with the Spirit that, like, as things already do come supernaturally to you, but think of how much more heightened it will be at that time when it occurs.
Right. Right.
So we got off second born.
Pardon?
I think we moved away from second born. We were going on.
Well, that's how it goes. We wander.
Right.
So I realize one of the reasons I don't feel like was second born many years ago when I got baptized in the church, or whenever I was in the Jordan River once, got baptized. The reason I think some of us, we're not ready, because if we received that then, we're not mature enough, because we still have too much pride in us. And I know that's one thing that I needed to have worked out of me, is pride. And as it goes, pride goes before the fall, right? So we need to get rid of pride. Anyway, that's a confession publicly.
Pride sounds like parade. Go ahead.
Abraham, you use the word sovereign, and I've actually been thinking about that word. And so this is another rabbit trail. Do you want to go on another rabbit?
Sure.
So sovereign.
Hold on, I just want to ask, am I coming through loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's important. I pulled my thing closer to me, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I looked up the definition of sovereign, and you kind of already know what it is, right? But I wondered what's the old... Well, let me back up. Joseph, I think, means sovereign. I read that last night somewhere. I don't remember where. So what's the ancient meaning of sovereign? How would you break that word down?
Well, it's the word in the Aramaic and the Indo-Aryan. I'm moving away from Germanic because that's the Jewish code, and it's not so German means Jew, and therefore I mark my ways now, and so Indo-European is more correct, but also I realize that it's more correct to say, because peonage, peons are the slaves, Indo-European, so it's correctly Indo-Aryan, so the word sovereign, it comes from the word Avram, A-V-R-A-M, and I saw that in the, because I already knew that terminology, but what really got me was when I saw it with Abraham, or not Abraham, but Adam, and because he was the Naga, the wise serpent. That's what Naga means. He was the wise serpent. It's in Strong's. They took it out of our scriptures, called him a serpent, but he was the Naga. And Naga means the all-knowing one, the bright and shining one. And then it said, and where it says that the Naga, or the serpent, was more subtle. Then I looked up subtle, and they took out one letter, the V. And so it said, Aram, something like that. And I realized that they took out the V. That's what they do. They abbreviate the words, and it was Avram. And so right there, the serpent wasn't more subtle. The bright and shining one, the wise Naga, was the sovereign. Of course he was the sovereign. If he had named all things on earth while Yeshua made them, he must be sovereign on earth, right? Not in the universe, but on earth, because this was the domain that he was destined to come down to which was the fall, when he came from the great light of the atom, the great symbol of atoms, down to the earth. And but he had the D letter, not the T, and the D was means he was destined for death and destruction, because that's how it had to happen. That's part of the great mystery. And so Joseph is Volé Shafé, and Vol is the volumes of the royal eyes of the royal eye woman, the volumes of the royal eye woman, Fé at the end, Vol, volume, Aisha, royal eyes, Fé, the woman, and so it's Volé Shafé. And because I used to say, Yoshef, I put a Y in front of a Yoshef and all, but then I finally could see when the Aisha opened up to me is when I could really see it was Volé Shafé. So Joseph of Arimathea being a corruption. I didn't clarify. I'll finish with the sovereign first. So Avram, Av, A-V, is the prime root for the word star. And so Avram is Star Ram. And the animal that is at the highest top of the world on the mountaintops is the ram. And that's why they blew the ram's horn, called the shofar. And so the great symbol of a ram. And so the star ram is the original word for sovereign, because you're on top of the mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Joseph of Arimathea is not his name. He is Volé Shafé, the star ram, or the sovereign. We could use modern, but it is the star ram.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's good to be on top of the mountain.
Absolutely. And we fall off it quite a bit. There's so many steep ledges, and it hurts when you get down. And so
I've seen the rams in the mountains in Colorado, and also up in Idaho, way up in the mountains in Idaho, and it is quite incredible where they can go and how they do that without falling through the rocks. It's just amazing to watch them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So are we clear on the second born?
Yes.
In other words, we have the picture. It was telling us, but we didn't get the picture.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said, it was the same. Well, okay. And one more for the benefit of the listener when we replay this. There was it was Rahab who played the harlot because Judah wouldn't give his third son to her, and I hope I'm remembering the story correctly, and because it turns out that there were two babies in Rahab, right?
Oh, I'm not remembering that. Isn't Rahab the one that put the red cloth down?
Yeah, that's right. It was not Rahab. It was she was the granddaughter of Melchizedek. What's her name?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, we can talk about the story. So Judah had sex with her, and he gave her his staff and ring, and was going to come back the next day to give her a lamb. She covered herself, her face, and he didn't know it was his daughter-in-law, and so when she's going to have the baby, now it's important because she's the granddaughter of Melchizedek, so that's Shem. So she's in this royal lineage, that is passing down, the traditional line. And so there's two babies in her. And so when it's time for her to have the babies, one of them stretches out its arm, and then the midwife puts a red string around the arm to denote that this is the first.
Are we talking Rachel?
Not Rachel.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I'll know it if I hear it. And so then the baby pulls the arm back in, and then the other baby is born first. And so what this is pointing out with the second born is that which is first, whereas the baby put its arm out, but then it pulled back. And that which is first is as that which is last, and that which is last is that which is first. So the baby that then comes out full body is the firstborn, but the red cord was around the baby that was the second-born officially.
Right, right.
And it represented something that was in the beginning, before the creation. That which is first is as that which will come last. What Yeshua delivered to us. What Israel could not receive.
So the red cord is a whole nother discussion for another day.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Rahab letting down the red cord also.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
She was saved.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, Thea, you're welcome.
Uh-huh.
Good to have you on the program.
Okay.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Forbidden History Live and Ask Dezert-Owl on the original Thought Transliteration Project. And that was Thea on a private call. And so thank you, Thea, for that contribution. Questions are good because you never know where it's going to take you. And I like the challenge in this, surprise approach to an avenue that we may not have gone down before that can open additional doors. So we have to keep reviewing the things that we've read that sometimes seem insignificant, but they're not. And don't forget our friends with IC Immune, ladies and gentlemen, the zeolite with the humic acid, fulvic acid blend that can help get it out. All the stuff all the garbage they're putting in through the aerosol spraying of our sky to the tainted food, the fluoridic water. It's all bad. So we need to give ourselves an edge. And these are not sponsors. These are just friends that have done a profound formulation of something that they want to make available. Okay, so check them out. They have one other product as well. You'll have to look for. It's for the viral halt antiviral as well. And so these are the days you need an edge. Okay, so go check that out. And thanks for doing that. I'm trying to hang in here with my abdomen. The pain is kind of going to my back now. But I was about ready to throw in the towel, but I'm gonna try to go a little further because we've got a couple friends on the line here today. And so let me pull that card out of the way and this one. So I want to real quick, I just want to show you, the quid pro quo. I was trying to, and we're going to do a screen share now, Ninja. So, okay, a quid pro quo is I want to give something in order to, help raise funds for our broadcast because, the way, as inflation is going, literally I'm on the minimum of Social Security. And therefore there's not even enough left for food when you get done paying all the bills and everything, So we really legitimately need to, raise funds for our broadcasting capabilities. And one thing that I do need, because I'm going to start broadcasting on the midweek. In fact, I might want to do Monday through Friday, but that's without Ninja's assistance because I'm going to turn on my broadcast on Forbidden History Archive, and then also attempt to do it for the first time over there on Odyssey. And so because in the evening I watch a lot of documentaries, but what I realized is that our friends need to hear some of these lost writings they've never been privy to. And so I want to start doing reading in the evenings on Eastern time here on the East Coast of the U.S. And but what I need is a professional mic because I found out when we did this last time a couple weeks ago, that when I go through a Ninja system with the OBS and everything on her end through Skype, the quality sounds good, but when I do it myself, it sounds very very hollow and very poor quality, dis distortion, right? And so what I need is I already priced it over on Amazon. It's like $260. So if there's so the trade I want to make is that we have these books I posted. We're now 226 books. There's a few other items as well beyond the books. There's just to make it a more interesting scroll. But I have some of the best information right now, right on this. 226 books are probably the most profound collection, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to scroll through it real quick, and then you can on the replay you can look more closely, or you can actually go to the website itself, and the link is in the description, of course. All right, and we put the link everywhere we can on our video. So I'll go. Well, you ought to turn it on. All right, you'll put. All right, that's okay. That's all right. Right. That Ninja will put the links in the chat. But if you go to let me click on one here so I can just do that right here. I just want to give you the name of the store. We have a lot of material there, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. But or you look for the book, Vices Are Not Crimes, and then in the search bar that'll pull you up to then my particular store, and it's called a Rare Books and More PDF store. Okay, so that's what it's called, and there's 250 books there. This is number 42 out of the law. And so yeah, I have like what, 5 categories. I've got Bible, I've got books in general, then I've got dictionaries, and then I've got law dictionaries. Okay, so I got stuff like, I'm going to just give you a quick scroll here to show you what I've done. All right, and works by um, Alexander Schooner, Spooner, Lysander, not Alexander, Lysander Spooner, and from the 1800s, and he was showing, like, he did one what yeah, an essay on trial by jury, and he said that there has never been a legitimate trial by jury since the ratification of the Constitution for the United States of America. Well, in other words, it's been a fraud from the beginning, and this is what I've been pointing out. America was founded by the Illuminati, Jewish banking, and they pretended freedom while it was a communist front, Illuminati communist front that gave us the red, white, and blue pastel color, spellbound you while they entertained us and gave us comedy and everything else. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely amazing the game they played on us. What, I have a Skype now? What's going on here? Is that you, Ninja, that sent me a Skype? All right. Well, let's see. Maybe somebody has a question here. Um, we are all Palestinians. That's from Susan. Susan, get in the chat. We're all Palestinians. Well, we are. If the axiom, I am another you, I am another you, right? Then we have to suffer with these people that are being decimated by by this pseudo Israel, which is not Israel. Okay, so anyway, back to the presentation here, and thank you, Susan. I assume she's listening in. I don't know if that was a off the cuff comment or if she's listening in, but give us a heads up on the chat. I got a cough. Hang on. All right, and so getting down with dictionaries, just look at these titles. You can stop it on a replay, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not going to comment much, but I'll point out, some of the rather interesting books. There's the Kolbrin. You can get, so when we read the Kolbrin, you can get the download within a minute. Within less than a minute, you can have the Kolbrin PDF and be following with us when we do the read. So and the thing that's ironic is I got these near 250 books, and I'm going for 500. So I'm halfway there. But since we got it posted, in over a month, there's not one individual bought a book, and look how inexpensive these are. And they could tell you if you want to get the hard copy, this is a good way to save money, to get a PDF first before you make the investment. Like the Kolbrin, on Amazon is like $60. That's a lot of money for somebody to put out, for a book today in our dying economy. So we provide a service, and so the quid pro quo is you can get something of value and then support the ministry at the same time, so we can keep swinging. You know what I mean? And then so we've got law dictionaries. We got this is a major work. Like this right here, the maritime Jure Maritimo Navali, the Jure. I can't remember that in the French is, but anyway, it's like the pure light is an essence of that, of maritime, naval, or the treaties of affairs and commerce. This is the one I think that was owned by John Adams. It's got the plate inside the cover of the book by John Adams. I think that's the one. It goes back to what 1820 or something like that. So this is a really, it may be the 1700s. I can't remember now. But then we've got there's the colors of the Palestinians right there. Oxford. Okay, this the saga of the Aryan race. Trying to make a distinction that there was more than one race spontaneously generated on this planet, and how that happened is in our scripture. But the priesthood have altered a lot of it, and therefore it's not coming through clearly. But these are the things we talk about. The diatessaron of Tatian. The four gospels were blended into one gospel because paper was not easy to come by. Actually, they had to kill a herd of sheep or lambs, or goats to get to maybe do one book. Like 50 sheep in order to get one book. So what they did is they blended it together, and the diatessaron was persecuted by Constantine the Great, and fortunately a few copies came out, that gave us a modern version of it, and amazing work, and so check that out. And of course, all of the books that we've published on Amazon and Lulu are here as well through the non-spoken word publication, the work that the Heavenly Father has given to me. And these quotes, that people can frame and put on a wall, or they can put it in some of their work they're doing. I put my quotes up here as well for $2. You're making a donation, and then you can utilize that any way you want, in your own work. I love this one, the wolf in the sheep's clothing. That's cute. And then other stuff, on IRS issues, and then the Egyptian hieroglyphics, two volumes. And I've been studying the Egyptian hieroglyphs all my life, passively. I'm not the expert on that, but I am on symbolism in general. And but I've not taken the time to really become adept in the hieroglyphs. But even our modern day, what we call Phoenician alphabet, is hieroglyphic. The original term would have been Sanskrit, but then the Sanskrit in India moved over to the El Strangulo Sanskrit, which is not the original alphabet, which is the straight lines you can make in the sand. That's our Phoenician alphabet. And so it's on our driver's license today here in the U.S. When Scotland was Jewish, boy, that was a tip-off. I got that book now, and it's clear, that the Knights Templars, who are also the same Ashkenazi culture, Ashkenazi Aryan, they went, founded Freemasonry right out of Scotland, and of course the Jewish banking, Ashkenazi, Illuminati. All of these fronts, they create fronts. They're the Venetians in their day. They are the Vaticana. They are the Tsar, the Kaiser in Deutschland, not Deutschland, but Germany. That German means Jew. I've got the dictionary, their own words that says it. It's an amazing switch out through time, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm piecing it together, and I do the presentation. If somebody had asked me some good questions, we could really have quite a discussion on that. I'm not much on doing my own presentations and hearing myself talk anymore. I'd rather answer questions and help other people out, to answer their questions for them. There's some more of the diatessaron, the Oracle volume, amazing work. Amazing work. I got the book gifted to me by Dr. Barry, my Dr. Barry over there in Jacksonville, Florida, Barry Brooks. And he was my treasurer for United Truckers Defending the Constitution. He got me that book, and I didn't read it for 2 years. And it's like when I was reading it while I was in West Virginia dealing with political persecution there, it was like, wow, I can't believe this. The archaeological and writings of the Sanhedrin and Talmuds of the Jews, and basically what it is, like the priests investigated everything about the miracles associated with Yeshua, the events, the lights in the sky, the star, the miraculous birth, the shepherds, all of these things, and then people started running to the nearby towns, telling other people, and the spark was ignited, and all of that was in here. The priests, that's what all they did. They recorded everything that they heard, and they were looking for the sign, and so that's all in here. The story behind the story, and showing how they would have defended Yeshua based on their tradition. The accused has a right to hear his, anyway, it's all in there. Even the missing pieces of the what we call the Beatitudes, or the blessed Beatitudes. The missing second chapter of each of the Beatitudes. There was another paragraph that followed each. Blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek, blessed, are you when people speak wicked things about you. All that I had another chapter that is taken out of all of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, wherever we find in Matthew and Luke, I mean, and so, wow, what a, to find these things, to fill in the gaps. That's all I've ever wanted to do, to be more clear on my direction and journey, ladies and gentlemen. The mistranslated lost scriptures of the Bible, one of the last books I've done so far. I'm still working on the Lost Book of Moses, almost done, and I'm shifting gears to it actually this week, and can hope to have it done in a week. But this is a sample of about a dozen different lost writings, and a big one, a lost gospel nobody's ever heard of before, came out of England. One of the last ones I discovered. 5 chapters in here, and when Yeshua, after he went through the water and was baptized, they had a coronation for him on the river, a private coronation, acknowledging him as the sovereign of Israel, or correctly, Judah, Yutha. But they want to keep using the word Israel to get people to think it's still legit and still real. And once they were banished to 10 tribes, it was gone. It was over. It was done. Equity and trust for a lot of people studying the commercial racket, the commercial law, so to speak. Equity and trust, outstanding work. The 12 presumptions, how to beat an admiralty court. Okay, a lot of that stuff in here to help you on dealing with a de facto corporate fraud and fiction on the nations, ladies and gentlemen, with the phony law, the Jewish law. That's why they call it judicial, right? Judicial, get it? And Coptic etymological dictionary, all these different dictionaries going back, because I study Indo-European. Excuse me, I'm not saying Indo-Germanic anymore. Indo-European, and of course they got you to be a peon anyway, right? But because it's really Indo-Aryan. Indo-Aryan is really the correct term, meaning that it stems from India all the way through the West. And Celtic origin, getting into the fundamentals of how a language came to be. So I'll stop that right there just so you can get the picture. Okay. Boom. Jesuits. I got a number of books on Jesuits coming up here. Eusebius, who wrote the history of the church right here, but also the life of Constantine. So we got 2 books back to back. And the history of the church, here it is, Eusebius. A couple more books. And I won't talk about them here. We've talked about them enough. Realize, some quotes. the 12 presumptions, how to beat an admiralty court. So we got more than one source, so you can compare the notes. I try to duplicate or triplicate a lot of the the products that I'm bringing on here to give people options from a financial value to to a comparison value as well. Contract law, yeah, it's all about contract. Show me the contract. That's the first thing you want to ask anytime you're being confronted by an agent of doom. Show me the contract, please. And you ask questions. You don't give answers. They're supposed to give the answers, right? And here's more on the Jesuits. The oath of Kol Nidre. That's where the Jews, they took every year they take at Yom Kippur. Anyway, they take the oath that cancels all other oaths. So you want to get that, okay? I'm not going to try to quote it, but basically they cancel all their word. Their word is no good. In other words, bottom line, their contracts and their word is no good because they've taken an oath once a year that all the things that they say are null and void. Your oath is not an oath. Your word is not your word. I mean, these people are following Babylonian Talmud, and they want us to think, that there's some type of benevolent group of people when they have taken a blood oath to wage war on mankind, to decimate, like you see in Gaza. Everyone, you're on a list, okay? Every one of you is on a list, and they're coming for you. Gaza is the beginning of the end, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't figured it out. If they can get away with genocide of men, women, and children on modern, video, red, in living color, seeing people get shot and put in a ditch live on a broadcast, then the end is here, okay? Because they're not concerned anymore. They got their racket is all ratcheted up, and it's a slam dunk because the people have no way to defend themselves against the military forces of this world that are now working for the one world unseen hand, and they're coming to a neighborhood near you. And that's why all of this information about our deep spiritual root is so important, ladies and gentlemen. The book of Jubilees, which is the biggest book of the Old Covenant that was not published in there, but it was done by an attorney up in Montana. I've got a copy of it called the Sefer. But the separate book is published at Artisan Publishers also. The hard copy, artisanpublishers.com, longtime friends of mine in our ministry. But you can get the PDF first, check it out. It's almost 100 chapters, mind blower. The story behind the story of everything from the book of Genesis all the way through Joshua. And so continuing on here, and trustee handbook, more on contract and law. Lexicons, Armenian lexicon, 3. Let's go here. Dictionary of archaic provincial words. Candid history of the Jesuits. Yeah, let's be candid about it. They're Jews. Okay, the Jesuits who run the Vatican are Ashkenazi, Nazi, Khazar, Aryan Jews, ladies and gentlemen, and they all wear the same cap, don't they? That was the tip off. It was like putting two together. Aren't they all wearing the same hat? What's going on here? And then finally, it gets clear. Bach Saga, amazing work. Here's a picture of the cover of the book. We only have a sample. We don't have the whole book here, but you can get a sample read right here for that. Again, another version of the Book of Jubilees. We got several. Here's another one, third one. So you've got options, for getting comparison. Okay, the Book of Jubilees. There again. I can go on, but I think you get the idea. I was looking for, well, here we go. Here, okay, Henley's Formulas. This book, Henley's Formulas. Look, I got to turn my heater on. I'm getting cold. Stand by for a second. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. This is the coldest day of the winter so far. We went below 30 today, and so yeah, I had to get that thing cranked up. I'm over here freezing and talking, and waiting for it to get through this. But I want to show you a few books that you really want to have, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Brainwashing is the the synthesis of the Russian textbook on psychopolitics. That's quite a read, but basically, they can, like in Russia, they did a big time declare people insane, and then they didn't have to have a trial. Declare them mentally incompetent. Well, we don't have to put them on trial. We'll just lock them up. With the signature. That's all. You got the book there, Henley's Formulas. It's about 100 years old, and it's got the formula on how when in other words, when things shut down, when you can't go to the store anymore, and you need to make soap or you need to make vinegar, you need to make this, that, or the other thing. It's like it's a big book, and it tells you how to make anything by putting different ingredients together. Okay, so it's a must-have. I guess I better get a copy, Desert. That's right. Yeah, I used to have it, but I was selling all my stuff at the gun show when I got desperate and brought all my books there and started selling them. It was after my um, well, anyway, that's a story for another day. But anyway, Forgotten Books of Eden. Yeah. Okay. Isat Nassar. This is the numero uno right here. You've got to get Isat Nassar because this is the biggest gospel. The story of the life of Yeshua the Nazarene. This book is 700 pages, and a family that moved from Russia in the 1800s, and their three sons and daughter, two sons and one daughter, I think. They grew up in Jerusalem in the 1800s, and they were wealthy people, so they had connections with the priesthoods, whether it was Islam or what do you call it, Judaism, and then Christian priesthood, all that. They had access to the secret archives that the priesthood stole from us, but they were, I guess, wanting to show them their resources and the real stories, and so they started writing down all of the different fragments in these other lost writings, including the sources like the Babylonian Talmud, which talks about Yeshua, points out there is no Nazareth, that it was never a town, but in the time of Yeshua, never in the Old Covenant, and it really is dealing with the term Nazareth. That's why you see it spelled here Nazar. It's really a Z sound, and that's an abbreviation of Nazareth. And Isat, I'm not sure how to define that, but it's implying Yeshua, because there was no J, so they're just giving a primitive spelling, but that's not original. It's Yeshua, and that's still not the the most primitive. Yeshua is the most primitive. So, but that book, and it's got an appendix, and so that's another reason, because they give all their sources of where they found it and the story, and they give the original story. So you're going to find out that what you've been reading in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is really just a condensed, watered down, and even altered on the sacred altar of deception, altered version, because they didn't want you to have the truth. Oh, now I know, like we got two veins of Freemasonry. You've got the Blue Lodge, which is 3 degrees, and then you got the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, which is 33 degrees. And so now I know, because I've read I'm reading the Isat Nassar, and that the Blue Lodge, the 3 degrees, goes all the way back to Jerusalem. That's how far back the secret order of degrees goes back, and they were trying to kidnap Yeshua, and so because they figured out some stuff, and so anyway, I can't belabor that one now, but you got to get the book, and you can get the PDF just for less than $3, ladies and gentlemen. It's a steal. Okay, the book's worth $1,000 easily, and so then other works there of mine as well. This then don't forget Mountain Dew, Maui Burst. Okay, I had to put that there when that happened, just so people, that they want to get the graphic, we can preserve a record, right? Public record, Maui Burst. And then don't you know they had the Baja Blast, the Baja Blast, yeah. After within 1 week, what's the odds that on a tin can on a product line, of a soda pop, that you'd have Maui Burst and Baja Blast all within 1 week of each other. Talk about predictive programming, huh? And yeah. So more law dictionaries, Bouvier's Law Dictionary from the 1800s, both volumes, used by the U.S. Supreme Court today still, in 1856. And that was 100 years exactly before I was born. Phoenician Origins of Scots and Brits. That's by L. Waddell, Lawrence A. Waddell. I talked to him about a lot about him because in his work, because he's wrote dictionaries. He has proved out that the Sumerians and Egyptians were all connected, all Aryan race. Yeah, this guy was a genius of his day. And then here, look at this. You tell that's a giant. Can you tell on that relief that this is a giant and these are small people, right? And nobody ever talks about it. They show it on documentaries, but they never point it out. Unless you're looking, you're not going to even click. Okay, back to Eden. This is so, when you can't go to doctors anymore, you can go to the book by Jethro Kloss. And it's a big book, and it's all holistic healing, how you can heal yourself using water treatment, or special different combination of herbs or tinctures or salves, and on and on. The emperor wears no clothes. It was rather interesting back when I was in Florida about 15 years ago. I actually had the wife of oh gee, what's his name here? Jack Herr. Jack Herr. He said his name is Jack Herr, just like terror. And his wife Jeannie called my radio network one day, and they sent me a copy of their book, and they've been listening in. And so yeah, they show how the hemp plant is the real mother plant of the planet. That you can make food, medicine, uh, tarps, rope, everything. Yeah, thank you. Are you talking in my ear? Okay. I got somebody talking in my ear here. So she's not talking, I guess. So, but anyway, then we've got the Book of Giants. Oh, let's not forget paper. Of course, hemp makes a better paper than tree pulp does. And so this is, and not only that, it regenerates the soil. I said medicinal. You weren't listening. All right, never mind. Um, all righty. So the Book of Giants, Fallen Angels. So this is out of the British Museum, translation by the what do you call it? The archivist, or the oh gee, I can't remember her name now, but about 100 years ago. And so more books. Bouvier's Law Dictionary in 3 volumes. So I've got 2 versions of Bouvier's. Well, this is a later edition, 1914. And I'm showing this, ladies and gentlemen, because I want, nobody's going here. Nobody's going. I got all the links on all the Odyssey videos, and like I said, not even one purchase. And it's like, don't they get it? Don't people get it that there's information is life, and we need support, of course, for the broadcast, because we're dying on the vine here. I can't even afford a microphone, and I want you to see what is being taken away from us. These are books that are out of print, many of them. The Aryan Origin of the Alphabet. Again, this is stuff by L. Austin Waddell. And this is like, my collection. So, a journalist, translator, researcher, brings you a lifetime of the best. This is the stuff that you just, really want to get access to. The secret archives of the Vatican. This is where, you find out how they abbreviate all our words. That's where I found out where they did it. I knew they abbreviated our words, but this lady who wrote this book, said right in there that they abbreviate all the words outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators. Abbreviators. See, they're laughing in our face. They're telling us what they do, and we don't get it, but you do get it here, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you'll consider getting some of this work and sharing it with your friends, because this website on Payloads gets no promotion. We're probably the only broadcaster there that are now promoting it, so more people are going to learn about it. But what we're providing for you, get it while you can, for a song, and you can print it out on your computer. You don't have to buy the book. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, another story behind there. That's the original one of the original handbooks was found in an IBM typewriter at a government auction, and they forgot to throw it in the trash or take it home with them, or they wanted people to find it. Maybe that might be what they did. And papal banking, bloodlines, serpent cults. Okay, more. Well, it was quite a deal putting all this stuff up. I got to tell you, what an adventure in books and words and examples of how they're burning us down. These are some of the quotes, to show again people imagery, graphics they can use on their materials if they're doing publishing or broadcasting. Black's Law dictionaries. I've got most all the dictionaries of Black's Law. I think most of them. I don't think all of them, but and also the first edition and the law dictionary used in America before Black's. I've got that posted here. It's probably coming up. The American Dictionary of the English Language by Webster in 2 volumes. Okay, this is the most important modern English dictionary because he wasn't changing words like the Jews bought up his 1828 edition called Merriam-Webster. There's your Merriam is a code for it sounds like Mary, right? Mother Mary, but Merriam is a corruption of the word Mitzrayim, and that goes back to Egypt. Okay, so the Merriam Company is the Jewish Front out of Switzerland, and they control all dictionaries, so they had to grab the classic first edition by Webster and start changing the words. So there's only one Webster dictionary, and that's the original, 1828, which is the most important dictionary on the English language in modern time. Language is a bad word, okay? It means language, what they put in a cannon and shot at you, so you're dead in the water. But we have to use it sometimes, I guess, because it's hard to talk in our modern time when we're speaking Pig Latin. Hidden Tyranny. This used to be made available by the Rosenthal document by come on, Desert Wiseman, Charles Weissman. I used to sell all of his books at gun stores. The book Jewish World Encyclopedia, Conspiracy. I'm getting tongue-tied now. This I just wanted. This is like a one-time preview, okay? Before we get to the read, I'm gonna bypass words, I guess, because I know I'm getting talked at. If I have time after the read, I'll do some important words I was going to reveal. I mentioned them at the beginning, so you got the clue. And I know I want to show you the code, how you break it down. But we may have to save that for the next program. Complete Art of War. This is like 4 books in one. Okay, so it's not just the Book of Art of War, but other, like he's got the Machiavellian manipulation in here. What a read. What a read. Numbers in the Bible by Bullinger. Bullinger, modern day genius. How did he write all of the books he did and do all the commentaries he did without, modern day typewriter, let alone a computer? The most important translation in modern time, the most important translation next to what I'm doing with the Indo-Aryan, Indo-European language, ladies and gentlemen, Farrar Fenton. Okay, the book is about $60, so you can get it for $3. New Testament in modern English by Fenton, so you can get that book by itself on PDF or the combined collection. There's 2 Babylons, must read, must see, because it's got so many graphic plates. But their research goes back to books that went as far back as the 1400s. So you can see their bibliography in there, but those books don't exist anymore. And they built this masterful work in fine print with footnotes like you've never seen. And it's a collector's item. You've just got to see it. They reveal, of course, that it's about papal worship. Nimrod or the Pope is wearing not a fish hat, but a serpent hat. Okay. And listing of law dictionaries again, worldwide. So you can get the whole picture of what's available out there if you need a special dictionary on a special field of law, like industrial or whatever. Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, the origin of the Indo-European speakers. This is a must-read as well. Akkadian Dictionary. Where am I at now? They don't highlight this thing. How am I going to know where I'm at? Okay, Facts are Facts. The Truth About the Khazars, the So-Called Jews, by Benjamin Friedman, who's a Jew who came out, a successful multimillionaire businessman, came out exposing them because he didn't want to commit mass genocide on his planet. He didn't want to participate, so he exposed them. Demonology, book by King James. So before um, he gave us our, the William Tyndale, occultic version of William Tyndale, King James version, where they put all their little secret codes in the King James that I point out periodically. He wrote, while he was still in Scotland, the book of Demonology, so that they could have a cover for burning Puritans at the stake. They weren't burning witches at the stake. And why do you think the Puritans fled England? They fled England because they were being burned at the stake for being Puritans. So he claims to be a Protestant, but he was really a Vatican agent, the founder of international Freemasonry, Jewish, a Kabbalistic, Jesuit, Jew Freemasonry. Okay, the demonology of King James. So I got two versions of it here. Must read. Got to make the connections, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is not what it seems. The Book of Job. Outstanding work by Bullinger. Again, more works of Bullinger. Numbers by Bullinger in Scripture. The Witness of the Stars, Bullinger. The Companion Bible. How did this guy do all this stuff? When you see the Companion Bible, he's got a footnote almost on every single verse in the Bible in a elegant leather-bound copy, fine paper, unreal. And I've got a copy of it. It's $100 book, so you can get it for $5, $100 book, and check it out and see if you want to put out that kind of money for that work. Or if you can't afford it, you can still get it. If you can't afford it, you can still get it. So I'm trying to do everything I can to serve my community of people out there, to make it easy on you, so you don't have to figure stuff out. Desert's already done it for you. And now I show you where you can get the inside scoop and see it, read it for yourself. Okay, Companion Bible appendices, just as appendices in this Companion Bible. It's like a couple hundred of them, I think. It's all in the back of the scriptures. It's I can't begin to tell you. Negro Bible. So it's basically a more evident version of like our King James, what they did to the Negroes in the plantations in the Caribbean, right? I haven't gotten my copy yet. I can't afford it. I've been wanting this for like half a year, and I can't even afford, the hard copy, because I want to look at it, in my hand. I'm kind of like the hand. I hate reading on the computer, so I get the hard copy. But this is basically, when you see this, you realize this is exactly what they did with our scriptures, because even Tyndale, or the other versions, the Matthew Bible, the King's Bible, all of these other Bibles that came after. Bible means Babel, of course, so they're telling us, but we don't get it. But all of the versions are almost identical. There's very little differences between them. Little word here, little change here, and the reason is because through Erasmus, they gave us the parallel copy of the Latin and the Greek with Erasmus out of Switzerland. Go figure. Okay, and so that's why it's the source that they were using that limited them from really giving us the real original scriptures, because they were altered a long time ago, through the Vatican. And so that's our problem, ladies and gentlemen. But now, today in our modern time, many of the other lost scriptures have been found, and so now we have access to more original. And of course, but it's in the words. If they abbreviated the words, if you could back engineer the words, then you've got the big kahuna, because it's in the words. They're not words, they're Eshavors, royal eye. The royal eye is the logo. It's the sun, symbolically, the light that shines, the flaming sword of fire. That's what they called words on a page, the flaming swords of fire. That's what Eshavor means, the eye at the center. Okay? Other works by, may he rest in peace, Charles Weissman. He was one of my big inspirations, because he published all of these books. He had a whole catalog of books that he published. And I've interviewed him a few times and used to talk to him on the side. And the 12 articles I wrote this while I was being politically persecuted and incarcerated. I defined what our real natural right is. I found out that most all the documents out there, from the Magna Carta to the Athenian Constitution to the Iroquois constitutions, were adulterated by men. You know, there's no real document of right. So I produced the all-time classic, the 12 Articles on the Organic Natural Right, being the pure law that is found within the living and being, the free men. Okay, dealing with alphabets, encyclopedia of religions, concise dictionary of the Middle English. I've got a hard copy of this, done by Skeet in the 1800s, modern type version. The Art of War, again, more Sun Tzu. The Book of N, really interesting graphics. This is a cool one to get for my radio host friend in Paradise, California. No more, passed away, but with these occultists. And Tyndale, Old and New Testament. I've got a hard copy of the New Testament, but not the Old. Black's Law Dictionary. Here's the dictionary before Black's, right here. 1891. Is that before Black's? No, that's Black still. That's not it. Coming up though, somewhere around here. And then Samuel Johnson. He's not the first dictionary, but he's the first one that's recognized in a big way. Important book to get. It's big. It's like 1,000 pages. You know, Dictionary of the English Language. And the 13th Tribe. Arthur Kessler, who wrote about the Ashkenazi Khazar Aryans, how they adopted Judaism. But the truth is, you know, Kessler didn't have the whole thing pulled together, but he did a good job. But yet the Assyrians, you know, and it all came out of Babylon. So it's just the northern branch. The Sephardic, you know, they say came out of Babylon, and the Ashkenazi came out of the steppes up near northern Russia, but they were all originally one tribe, and they branched off. So the story may not be totally accurate, but nonetheless, it's an important read because you learn a lot more about these so-called, you know, Jews by this particular work. Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips. She was a presidential sex slave, sexually abused by her father, you know, right from infancy, basically. And so she came out. Mark Phillips saved her. She was going to be burned alive at Bohemian Grove, and he saved her just before that happened because he worked with the CIA and with military generals, so he was you know, he was capable of doing this, and it's quite a story. And then she went on the speaking tour. They did videos, and you know, and this is, if you ever wanted one book to know how the government really operates, this is the book. Transformation of America. That's the book to get. Okay, paperback. It's about 150, 200 pages. English dictionary, very graphic, very you know, and they identified the culprits in there, all the different politicians by anyway. A catalog of dictionaries, again, philosophical, and another resource, important resource. A lot of resources. My good friend Stephen Jacobson came out of the Jewish culture, wanted to expose it, just like Mr. Friedman. Stephen wanted to expose them. He's really ill today. His memory is going sort of like mine, but I think it sounded a little worse when I talked to him. He didn't remember that I was communicating with him just a couple weeks ago, and so he's on his last leg, ladies and gentlemen. He don't like me talking about him, but I am, because he's a great American, and he did the two all-time classics, Wake Up America and Mind Control in America, and the Gothic Bible studies, the first Germanic Bible. Yeah, okay, going back into the Gothic. They took it from I think a Greek version. Scriptures. That's why I've got all this stuff, because I go through it. Okay, I don't leave. You know? So first Germanic Bible. Okay, I think I got one more page here. I don't know if I skipped one of those numbers. They should highlight it. But anyway, oh, that's at the end right there. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not sure. I'm going to try to do a little read when I come back, but I'm feeling the pain right now, and so I'm not going to get to through the whole read, but I'll do a little bit because I told you I was going to do it. I get long-winded, I know, but I felt it was important to show you these books because it's one-stop studying history, 50 years, okay, starting when I was 14 years old. Yeah, I'm kind of dated, right? About 66 years old now. There's a little bit for everybody in here, and everybody needs to be clued in by spirituality. But if you're trying to figure out words, then you need Webster's 1828. And if you're studying the law, then we got all the the important stuff here to how to deliver it. So our journey, with the thing with Gaza, you got to know we're at the end of the road, ladies and gentlemen. So handwriting's on the wall. The Masonic Handbook, Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike in the late 1800s said they're going to create 3 world wars. And in the final 3rd World War, they were going to use Islam to destroy all of Christianity. And so just realize what they're doing to the people on the Gaza Strip, even though basically half of them are Christians. They're Assyrian Christians originally, and they're still Assyrian by culture. Islam and Judaism, of course, they'll do it because like we pointed out, that they kill their own all the time. They did it in World War II, right? The Jewish bankers who ran the war front, they controlled Stalin, they controlled Hitler. They wrote Mein Kampf. The Jesuit Jews wrote Mein Kampf for Hitler. A racist. They're the masters of deception, ladies and gentlemen. You think the white hats are coming in? Give me a break, okay? There ain't nobody coming to save anybody. It's a genocide program, and it's on right now. It's the greatest show you're ever going to witness when it goes down. Full blossom, okay? With pretended UFOs and aliens and ray guns to burn everybody's